we're going to develop your spreadsheet a little bit by adding a more advanced feature, and that's going to be a macro that's going to control part of your spreadsheet. So before we get on with spreadsheet software, let's have a little look at our knowledge recall. From this topic, you need to be able to answer what an if statement is and what a nested table is. You've used both of these in your spreadsheet so far. So what is an if statement and what is a nested table? And then from video editing, you need to explain what is frame rate. So from animation, what is frame rate? And from earlier in the year, you need to explain what e-safety is. So you can pause the video and answer these questions. You should now move on to your spreadsheet, and we got to this stage last lesson where we created our table with some drop down box, some if statements, and we were able to work out whether we were in budget or not. So that's what you got to last week. Now this week's lesson, we're looking to develop our formulas and functions to manipulate data, and we're going to create a macro which will just make your spreadsheet easier to use. So once you've done that, you can add a few of these following formulas to improve your website. So you might want to add some more max and min and sums and averages, and add to your spreadsheet how you wish. So a little bit more way of developing your spreadsheet is the macros I've already said, and we're going to do that now. Before we do that, we're going to move on with protecting our cells. So this is to stop other people accidentally messing up our data. So what we're going to do is protect certain cells, and then we need to unlock certain cells so they can be changed. So the way we do this in spreadsheets is quite simply, we select the cells that we want people to be able to edit. So I'm going to select these first two cells here, and I can right click and format these cells. So in Excel I can format these, and what I can say is I can untick them so they are unlocked. So the cells that I want people to change, I can click on protection at the top and then unlock. Okay. And I can do that for any other cells. I'm going to want people to change these drop down boxes here, so I can right click, format cells, protection, and make sure that one is unticked. And again, I need to do the same for these cells and these cells here, the choices I'm putting in. So these cells and these cells need to be unlocked. Everything else is automatic, so I can keep those locked, that doesn't matter. So I'm protecting those cells there. Once I've locked those, all I need to do is click on, when I go to review, I can just click protect sheet, and I want people to be able to select any unlocked cells. So I want that one ticked, but the top one needs to be unticked. So we're only allowing them to select unlocked cells, and I can click OK. So once it's done that, you can see here that I am not able to click in any cell apart from the ones I've actually unlocked. So I can still change my drop down menus, I can change those, but I cannot change the prices. I cannot delete any data from anywhere else. All I can do is choose the ones that I've actually got permission to change the data in there. So that's what you need to do to protect your cells, for make sure that no data is messed up in your spreadsheet. Moving on from there, we're going to look at creating a macro. So a macro is a short little program that performs lots of tasks, one task after another, and when you click it, what it does is it will do all of those tasks. So it saves you clicking and repeating yourself time and time again. It's a way to speed up the use of your macro, and I'll show you how this works in just 1 second. So what you can write macros for is to be able to print a certain part of your spreadsheet, or to delete certain cells, or to be able to create a chart based on data. And we're going to look to delete certain cells for our macro here. So this is how we do it. First of all, we're going to create a button for our macro, and we do that by clicking several ways. We can click format and then a shape style and add a shape in, or we can just draw a shape. So what we can do is click on insert. If I click on the cell, because my sheet is protected, I'm not able to do this, so I do need to just go back and unprotect my sheet. And when I click on insert, I can go to shapes now and choose any shape. I've just gone for an oval and I'm just drawing an oval. I can right click on this, I can edit the text, and all I need to put in here is clear sheet. I can make that writing bigger, I can make it stand out. The formatting is completely up to you, so I'll just do this very quickly. Just to center justify there, make it a bit neater. So this is going to be my button that can just remove the data from here. So what I can now do, once I've created my button, is then start to develop and create the macro of what I want my button to do. So what I can do here is click view and then record macro, and it's going to record everything I want it to do. Before I do that, let's just go one more stage. You'll have to add a name in for your macro, and I'm going to call it clear form. And then any cells that you want to delete the data, you can just select those and delete them. So let me just demonstrate here. So we can quickly go on to, I'll just go back a stage. We go to view and then record macro. So view and macros, record macro. And I'm just going to call mine clear sheet. And when I click OK, it's going to start recording. So whatever I click on, you won't see the recording. It's not valid. I've used a space in there, so you're not allowed to use a space. So clear sheet, OK. And now what I'm doing is just going in and pressing delete for the data, delete for this data, delete this data, delete this data. And that's removed all the data from my spreadsheet, so that I start from a blank spreadsheet. And I can just go on to my macro. Down the bottom is a little stop button. I can click this button just to stop it. I think we can in macro as well, stop recording. So you can either click macro, stop recording, or the little stop button at the bottom. So that's now recorded our macro. So I can now, I've created a macro, I need to assign it to this button. So I've right clicked on the button and click assign macro, and I've got clear sheet. So here is my clear sheet macro that I've recorded, and click OK. So now I can start to fill in some data into my spreadsheet. I'm going to have running shoes that are going to be red laces, red running shoes with black laces, and they've come out £67.97. I can do the same for here. I can decide that I'm going to order 200 pairs of trainers, and the budget I've got for these is £50,000. I'm in budget, which is good. I can reduce my budget actually to, let's go to £20,000. Now if I wanted to clear all my data, all I have to do is click the button and everything gets deleted, rather than having to individually click everything. So I can just change all the data by, or remove the data by clicking my macro. So when I click the macro, it does what I did before, selecting the cells, deleting them, and so on. So that's exactly what a macro does. It's a really quick, easy way to repeat a task many times. So we've created that macro, we've recorded the macro, and we've then assigned it to the button. So we right click on the button, choose the macro that we're assigning, and click in OK. So you will need to test some data. You will need to click your button and just hope that your data is removed. Does it clear the data? That's what you're looking to do. You're testing your spreadsheet out now to see if it works. Once you've done that, you can ask some what if questions to your spreadsheet. Like you've seen me put some data in, you can put some data in and see if you're in budget or not, and that's the type of thing that you could be looking for for your what if. You can add those to your e-portfolio and explain whether you're in budget or not. So you do need to save your spreadsheet. There's a slight difference now because you've added a macro into your spreadsheet. When you click on File Save As, you'll see that there's a Save As type. Instead of just an Excel spreadsheet, you need to use the drop-down box. I'll just move my head out of the way. There's a drop-down box here that you can click on and choose Macro-Enabled Workbook, Excel Macro-Enabled Workbook. And that will allow you to save it with the macros in it. So you need to show evidence in your e-portfolio of your work and then submit that work to your teacher. You should now understand what a spreadsheet does, how to input data, how to format that spreadsheet, how to use formulas and functions, how to insert a graph, and now we've completed part F, which is to create a macro and protect your worksheet. So well done for getting this far so far.